Hey, Stacey David here with the Tales of a Gearhead podcast. Now, what is this? Well, it's a podcast that covers everything automotive, everything mechanical, everything that's just cool about the automotive lifestyle. And since that's just about everything, you're going to love it. Let's get rolling. All right, if you listen to the podcast much, you've heard me have my buddy Charley Strickland on here before with Strickland Racing. He's the one that's developed the chassis for this new M6 GT replica that Retroformance is putting out. And Charley, I tell you what, let's just talk cars today, talking about people building crazy stuff and encouraging people to do things that are different. So aside from all the muscle cars and supercars and hot rods, people have seen this crazy swamp sprite that I'm working on. I want to talk about this surface orbiter that you're putting together. Okay, tell the people what this thing is. You guys are going to love this.
All right. My buddy and fellow mad scientist, Rick Dobbertin.
Yes. Now, Rick, of course, is the pro touring or the pro street guy.
Yep.
He kind of, with the J2000 and stuff, Rick is a legend in the automotive industry.
Yes, in my opinion, the greatest car builder of all time.
He's awesome.
But fellow mad scientist would also describe him.
Now, he put one together a few years ago.
Did.
I followed it.
30, 40, 50 years ago, he took a old 18-wheeler semi-trailer.
The tanker.
Tank truck, milk truck.
Off of milk truck.
Yeah.
So it's a huge tanker.
Yeah, big stainless steel tank.
Uh-huh.
And made what he called a surface orbiter out of it. It was an amphibious vehicle.
Yeah.
Rick's intention was to circle the Earth in it. He got as far as the Panama Canal and ran out of money, kidnapped by the rebels.
It was quite an adventure.
Oh, it was. I mean, he was on a very famous adventure. I mean, he was on national and international news every day. You know, where's the surface orbiter? What's he got into now?
Trying to drive around the world.
But I had been fascinated about it for some time. I had tried to buy that surface orbiter from the man that owns it now. Could not arrive at a price. And said to myself, you know what? I don't want Rick's surface orbiter. I want to build me a surface orbiter.
Go to the next level.
Yeah. And it kind of a tribute to Rick.
Oh, yeah.
And
you've been in touch with Rick on it.
Oh, yeah. Rick was the feature builder at the Grand National Roadster Show this year. And we flew out there to see him get his credit due after 40 years. And he knew I was serious about it. I'd talked to him about it over the last year, but I told him, Rick, I've been to see a naval architect. I've got the propulsion figured out on this thing. I've been to the tank truck company to build me a new tank.
Yeah.
I'm serious.
Yeah.
I need your help and I need your blessing. Rick says to me, well, if I can't talk you out of it, then I will give you that.
That's awesome, man. I'll tell you. Now, okay, so you're not using an existing tanker like he did.
That's correct.
You're actually designing one where you can actually stand up in it.
Yeah, Rick's was
helps.
an oval shape, and I've been in it. I'm probably the first and last person that has been in the existing surface orbiter in the last 40 years.
Yeah.
It's cramped.
Yeah.
You can't stand up in it.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of room. I want a complete motorhome inside.
Yeah.
And I want to be able to stand up. And a teardrop shaped, as opposed to that oval, does a lot of good things.
Yeah. And you're going to use diesel electric, correct? What kind of propulsion are you using?
It's a hybrid.
Okay.
It is 2 electric motors. Mm-hmm. One powers the one rear axle and the front axle.
Okay.
The other,
so it's just 2 axles. It's not a...
No, it's 3 axles.
3 axles. Okay.
The
so
second electric motor through a drop box like a monster truck uses powers the second rear axle and the inboard-outboard unit.
Okay.
There are 6 giant batteries on board, and it has about a 200-mile range with the batteries, but there is also, it is a hybrid. There is a 60 kW generator on board that is a 4-cylinder diesel motor that runs the 60 kW generator.
Okay.
It will run on the batteries, or that is a big enough generator to run the
whole system.
The whole system.
Okay.
60. I thought I have been to the drivetrain people, Hypercraft, in Utah, and I thought I could use a 20 kW generator. When we got it all laid out, it was 60 kW, which is no big deal at all. It's still about 1 GPH draw, so if you can run 60 miles an hour and the rate of burn for the generator is 1 gallon per hour, that's a 60 mile an hour, 60 mile per gallon range for a big truck.
So, and I keep telling you, man,
I knew this
you're
was
so
coming.
close. It would be so easy to put a ballast tank on there and make this thing submersible. Think about that.
Listen, my
you
wife,
only got to go down a few hundred feet.
my wife can't swim, and she keeps telling me, we're going to do what now? We're going to go where?
Okay, so
and if I went home and told her, and we're going to go underwater.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's that whole Captain Nemo thing.
Yeah, and I have very much on purpose, Brock Yates famously called the original Surface Orbiter Captain Nemo's Corvette.
Yeah.
Well, I want to build Nemo's Lamborghini.
Okay.
And I have very much on purpose designed the interior to be very, what I call Nemo-esque, very...
Almost kind of steampunky kind of thing.
Yeah, steampunky, right, exactly.
That's going to be cool. Okay, now your plan is to start building this thing around the first of the year, and then your goal is to have it like at the Battle of the Builders at SEMA, and then right after that, you're going to head out into the Gulf and off you go. Just drive right off the beach, huh?
Literally sail off into the sunset, yes. The plan right now, I have some projects that need to be finished.
Yeah.
I intend to finish those by the end of the year. I intend to physically start building the Surface Orbiter the first of next year. I have done a lot. It has occurred to me that I can do a lot of groundwork and be prepared to build that Surface Orbiter the first of the year. So I have already, as I said, I met with the naval architects, met with a lot of people, started getting suppliers and sponsors lined out, and getting the groundwork done. But yes, I'm going to get the projects that I am committed to done. I am going to build this for myself. I am going to spend most of next year. I intend to have it finished in time for SEMA and to get it, into Battle of the Builders.
Yeah.
I'm going to have a good time with it no matter what happens, but Battle of the Builders kind of a culmination of a long mad scientist run. You
know who you need to get as a sponsor is that Flex Seal guy.
I have already thought
if it leaks, Flex Seal it.
I've already thought about that.
Oh my gosh, that'd be hilarious.
That's things like.
We hope this thing will float.
Interestingly enough,
this is Phil from Flex Seal.
Yeah, something.
We cut this boat in half.
I've gone to my longtime suppliers and said, "Hey, I want to go make an effort to win Battle of the Builders," and it didn't surprise me that a bunch of little suppliers said, nobody's ever come to us and said, let's go do that before. Yeah. But what did surprise me is the big names that I went to that said, nobody's ever said that before. Let's go do this.
Yeah. Well, the big thing with Battle of the Builders is it's not like the Riddler. It doesn't have the reputation of being that big show. It doesn't carry a lot of pizzazz to it.
It's just
one of those things. So
go out in style.
I just think it'd be funny because it's just awesome. I like that when people think outside the box, and I want to encourage you guys that are listening to this. It's great, to build whatever you like, but man, I encourage people to think outside the box and whatever you're working on, because that's what makes it uniquely you. And just like Charley has taken something that Rick did, I guarantee you Rick got the idea from somebody else, probably watching, what was that, Damnation Alley or whatever, that Dean Jeffries thing. I love that.
Yeah.
Oh, what was that called? The Landmaster.
Yeah.
See, that's similar to that kind of thing. I'm sure Dean got the idea from who knows what. Captain Nemo, who knows? That's how we do this. We learn from others, and we take it and put our own little thing on it. Okay, so what else besides that? Anything else unique on this thing?
You know, I've talked to a lot of people on this, and a lot of people this is not the typical car project.
No.
A lot of people have said, this is going to be fun.
Yeah.
And that's right. And
It'd
I
be really fun if it went underwater. I'm going to sneak over there one night and put a ballast tank on that thing.
I have told everybody,
Big red button. Do not push this button ever.
see how long that lasts. But, I've told everybody, hey, come along for the ride. This is going to be a fun project. And I've always had that philosophy, all my neighbors live vicariously through me, but come along for the ride.
Yeah.
Come on, hang out. But, the Fabricadabra crew, and it was you that said, you got to have a catchy name for this.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, hey, I've had that in my pocket for 20 years to use it on something. Yeah.
So
you told me that.
Do you have them all laid out yet?
No, but, well, because there's still people to be brought on.
Yeah.
But is the Fabricadabra crew coming together nicely? Absolutely.
Good.
Sure
Good.
is. Yeah. And everybody.
Well, let me know, man.
Everybody's saying, hey, this is fun. Let's do this. I'm thinking, I've also got a couple of people that have said, hey, when it goes through, let me back up a little bit. From SEMA, we're headed straight down to the Gulf of Baja, and we're going to recreate Rick's Panama Canal crossing. Yeah. Bop around the Caribbean a while and wind up at the Miami Boat Show.
Okay. That's driving it up on the boat dock there.
Yeah. Now
that'd be awesome.
Several of the Fabricadabra crew have said, when you get to the Panama Canal, we're going to come down and be part of that.
Get ready to bail you out of jail.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I told him good, because I'll probably be out of money by then. Yeah,
that's not going to be cheap, but I think it's great, man. I love the project. Well, I appreciate you dropping by. We'll keep in touch with you on the Surface Orbiter. And
Surface Orbiter 2.
Yes, and I'll tell you what, when you get a chance, anytime you get some renderings or drawings and stuff, let me know. We'll post them and keep everybody up to date with what's going on. Sounds good, man. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
If you like cars, if you like coffee, you're going to love Gears Coffee Cars. Because in each pack, you'll find a special blend of rich, robust coffee to get your blood pumping, as well as a collectible cartoon sticker and matching photo card of some of the wildest vehicles Stacey has built or featured over the years. Collect the whole series and be sure to keep an eye out for the ultra-rare Strange Brew card that are added to random packages to keep things interesting. It's Gears Coffee Cars, the best bean on the car scene. A successful automotive project takes planning and organization, but instead of using an old tablet or notebook, there's the Gears Deluxe Project Planning Book. This was designed to help you lay out a project, the parts, the tools, costs, and keep it organized with colored tabs, a pouch for receipts, and even a place to attach photos. If you decide to sell the vehicle, it serves as a complete history of what's been done. If you have a project or plan on starting one, the Gears Project Planning Book is the best way to lay it out and make it happen.
All right, I've got a question here from Jason. And Jason starts out, he goes, hey, I've got a 2002 Chevy truck. He said, I got this about 2 years ago, and I've been doing different things on it, like basic maintenance. But he said, I want to put a winch and a grill guard on the front, but unfortunately there isn't one available on the market for a 2002. Jason, I tell you what, there's probably still some companies that have it. You may need to check. I know a lot of these companies start going toward newer stuff, but if they ever made a bumper or grill guard or something for that truck in the past, they still have it. They still have the molds. They still have the measurements and stuff, so they can make you one. So even though it may not be listed in their catalog, please check with some of these companies, because your answer might be right there. Now, the rest of the question, he goes, Warren used to make a grill guard winch combo called the Transformer, and it was great, but they don't make it anymore. Those were great units. I used 2 or 3 of those. I hated it when they pulled that off the market. For those of you that don't remember, the Transformer was a winch that slid right into a receiver hitch, and you could use it on the front or the back of the vehicle. It was great. He said, I've thought about making my own because I'd really like to have a chrome grill guard and brush guard for the lights and the winch. And now he says, my question is, with these newer trucks, they got a lot of plastic on the bumpers, and how will I mount the tow hooks? How will I make it, to where it's strong enough for a winch? Really good question, Jason. First of all, I would strongly suggest that you check all of these companies that you're talking about that used to make these parts for these trucks, like Fab 4s or any of these bumper DZ, anybody Warn, and see if they still can make you one of those, what you're after. I mean, Warn might still make the Transformer, it just might not be in their catalog. So then, of course, you can check used. People might be selling them used. But if none of that works and you have to make your own, here's what you have to remember. You hit the point right on the head. A lot of these new bumpers have a lot of plastic on them. You cannot mount to plastic when you're doing a winch and tow hooks. It's got to be strong enough to pull the weight of the truck. Always remember that. So the way that a bumper works is it comes right off of the frame rails. So you're going to have to mount something off of the frame rails if you have an existing bumper, and it's strong enough, then you can mount your winch and stuff to that. But a lot of times a factory bumper is thin enough metal. All it is for is impact. So it's to absorb an impact. It is not strong. In other words, it's going to bend and give. So a true winch bumper usually uses pretty thick steel. We're talking like 3/8 inch steel. And a lot of time your bumper brackets that mount to the actual frame rails are bigger too. So you need to take all this into consideration when you're going to build a real winch bumper with the intention of using it. So then, like I said, I don't know what your fabrication skills are. Sounds like you've got some. So go ahead and rely on that. But always remember strength. And then as you get your strength laid out, then you can make it look good. So I would suggest, building your winch mount first right off of those frame rails and get that situated in a bumper or in some steel first, and then build your grill guards and brush guards and stuff off of that. And for those, you can use square tubing, you can use round tubing, it doesn't have to be as heavy as the bumper part because it's just to protect brush and things like that. And you can build a lot of weight on the front of a truck if you're not careful. So get your strength down around your winch. And once again, your tow hooks, because a lot of times when you're winching, you'll go to something and you'll come back to a tow hook. So the tow hooks have to be as strong as the winch mount. There was a lot of winch bumpers sold that went on 2002 trucks, and I bet you can find something maybe in a wrecking yard. A truck that's been totaled has a good winch bumper on it. So good luck to you. All right, this question comes from Jeff. And Jeff is curious about these diesel electric kits that come from Edison Motors. He says, I would like to get an older Chevy truck, like an old farm truck, a grain truck, and fit it with a dually box and make it into a cool big old pickup. He said, however, a 266 Chevy engine and a 2-speed rear end isn't exactly his idea of something cool or modern. Yeah, you're right. He says, I've come across this Edison company, and it seems to make a lot of sense. I'd like to hear your thoughts on it. Well, I tell you what, Jeff, it's funny that you mentioned that, but diesel electric has been around almost as long as a 65 Chevy. Actually been around longer than that. Now, basically, I'll break this down real quick. It's a good idea. And honestly, the Edison Motors has got some cool stuff happening. The biggest thing for those of you that don't know, everybody knows how an electric motor works. You have to have some sort of power source running to it. If you don't have that, you have to have a battery. Something has to bring power to the electric motor. And basically what diesel electric is to simplify it greatly, you have a diesel engine that acts as the generator that generates the electricity, and then it sends it to the electric motor. So that's what trains run on. These big diesel trains running, that's diesel electric. A lot of your ships and your boats and stuff run off diesel electric, where you have diesel power that is turning the big turbines and stuff that makes your electrical power, and everything else rolls on electrical. Okay, so you can see right now you've got two big issues here. You're adding two components. You're not only adding the diesel engine for the power, but then you're also adding the electric motor for the propulsion. Now, in layman's terms, that could be kind of like engine and transmission. So you've got those, similar components. So as far as pieces go, you kind of have the same thing going here. The big thing, Jeff, you're going to be up against is that, man, you're on your own for making this stuff fit and for troubleshooting anything. It's not like you can go down to a hot rod shop or somebody and pick up something for a small block Chevy or a small block Ford. You're diesel electric. So my suggestion would be, first of all, I think you ought to try it if you really are interested in it. But before you do your research. In other words, you need to become an expert, not only about the truck that you're getting ready to put it in, but you need to become an expert about diesel electric and on the scale that you're looking to put in here. In other words, what are the torque numbers? How are you going to have to mount things? How is this going to react when you start to climb a big hill or go down a big hill? There's a lot of things here that are different than a regular car. And what you don't want to do is build something that works really good, and the first time you go down a hill, you can't stop it. Or you start to go up a hill and it starts to roll back down the other way. And, there's a lot of components here, dynamic braking, all kinds of things that come into play. So I think it's a cool idea. And if you have the fabrication skill to make it happen, I think it'd be great to do it. But this is not really something that you kind of do backyard hackery on. So, in other words, this is something that, first of all, it wouldn't be cheap. And it's something that you really need to plan out and really do your homework so you don't get in the middle of it and go, oh, I didn't realize I needed, a purple Richterphrasm, and there's only 10 of them in existence and they're all in China. So anyway, good luck to you, Jeff. Please send some pictures in when you do it. I'd love to see what you do. Okay, this next question comes from Wayne, and he says, hey, Stacey, I'm in the process of restoring my 71 Chevy C10. Awesome. And he said, for frame coatings, what and when do you recommend paint versus powder coating versus rhino lighting? This is going to be a great weekend bagged cruiser. All right, Wayne, really good question. And I'm also glad that you put in how you intend to use it, because that does affect your decision here. Okay, let's just look at all of these things. Now, obviously, paint is going to be your easiest, and followed by your rhino lining, and then, of course, your powder coating. And now let's just look at the process to powder coat. When you powder coat something, obviously the thing needs to be completely stripped to bare metal, and then it needs to be coated, and then they put it in an oven to bake it. What this means is it's got to be stripped naked, clean as you can get it. So that may be, if you're not doing a frame off, and you're talking about frame coatings, if you're not doing a frame off, powder coating is out right now. Also, are you in a process to where you can completely strip that frame down and get it down to a powder coater? Now, most powder coaters, like Mr. Speed that we use here, they do their own sandblasting. So they'll blast your parts because they want the things clean. They don't rely on you to do it because they don't trust you to do it well, which is good. They'll do the process and everything, and then it's all powder coated. But keep in mind, it's got to go in an oven. So frames are big, and you got to get it down there. There's a lot involved to getting a frame powder coated. Now, as far as durability, it's about the best you can do, because the coating is actually put on, with a current, and then it's baked on, so it's like a plastic coating. Very strong, very durable. You can scratch it, but it's very strong, very durable. Okay, when it comes to durability, your second would be like your rhino coatings, your rhino linings. Now, if you're talking about a true rhino liner, you have to go down to the rhino lining place or the Line-X, whichever one you're using, and they have to put it on. So once again, you're looking at transport and you're looking at getting it down there. Now, they don't do any cleanup for you. Your frame and stuff does not have to be as clean for a rhino liner as it does for a powder coat. Now, what a rhino liner is, or a Line-X, it's basically a catalyzed epoxy. I'm making it simple. Basically, it's two parts that come together and form an extremely strong, durable, flexible finish. And this stuff, once it hardens, is almost impossible to get off. So make sure you want to do it. I've had a lot of friends that are like, man, I'm going to put Line-X all over the outside of my car. And then they did it, and then they got tired of it, and then they tried to take that stuff off. It ain't going to happen. It's just not. You have to melt it off. Another thing with your bed liners is that they have a textured finish, which is nice. If that's it covers a lot of imperfections. It's perfect for putting on a frame. The only drawback is, once again, if you're using a true rhino liner or a Line-X, you got to take it down and have it sprayed. If you're using one of the brush-on ones, they're not as strong or as durable as the spray-on type, down at Line-X, but they are good. The biggest issue that I have had with most of your do-it-yourself bed liners is that they get hard, and they're almost like sandpaper. When they're done, I mean, if you lean against them, they'll take skin off. But for the most part, they're fairly durable. They're not quite as flexible, and they tend to get a little more hard, so they can crack on you. And if they crack, of course, they can allow moisture in, which is not what you want. But anyway, so there's that. But you can actually apply that yourself. And then, of course, there is just your regular paint that you can put on yourself, either out of a spray can or, something with a spray gun. Now, listen, if you're going to put on paint out of a can, you can only get so good out of a can. And honestly, the best stuff that I have found to put on a frame that will prevent rust and seal it up are your actual frame coatings, like your POR 15, your Miracle Paint, those sort of paints that are made specifically to paint over rust. They're really good to put on frames, stuff like that. The only drawback to those is that you're usually limited in color, and you usually can get it in black, silver, or clear. So, and maybe it's like a gloss black or a satin black. You have that choice. So you're kind of limited that way. And then, of course, you've got just your regular spray cans. And if you're going to spray paint a frame, obviously that's your cheapest way to go. It looks good. I would recommend don't put any kind of a gloss on a frame. Stay with your satins and your flats, because it will hide the imperfections. And you can make any of them look good. But as far as durability, obviously your powder coating is going to last the longest, look the best for the longest period of time, followed by your, bed liners and then your paints. But they're going to go just the opposite when it comes to cost and prep time. Paint is going to be easiest and cheapest. Rhino liners are going to be second. And of course, powder coating is going to be the most time-consuming and the most expensive. So, you got some choices there, Wayne. Choose wisely.
All right, that's our show for today, which means you need to get out there and start working on something. Spend some time turning wrenches. You might be surprised how much you like it. Make sure you check out our website, staceydavid.com, because we've got all kinds of new products and some other great stuff that you're just going to love. Also, make sure to check out our social media. That's Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, all at Official Stacey David. Our social media is where you're going to find all of the bonus content, the giveaways, the contests, the trivia. We even have extra viewer projects that focus on what you are working on. Also, the new season of Gears will be on MAV TV, and YouTube will be the place that you can view all of your favorite Gears episodes, as well as the full project builds that follow the project from beginning to end. Make sure to check out our new Gears coffee cars. This is a unique blend of coffee and cool stickers to collect that will appeal to anyone.
But the most important thing is get out there and turn some wrenches yourself. Get a project, start working on it, and if you don't have tools, check out Cornwell. They can help you out there.
All right, that's all the announcements. We're all up to date. We'll see you next time.